Hello, and welcome to my little tutorial on how to make a gelatin text effect in Photoshop. Okay, to start out, this is a 7x5 canvas at 300 dpi. We are going to be using the horizontal text tool, which is right down here on the little sidebar. The font that I'm using today is Hotel de Paris XE, and it's just regular, and it's at 60 point. Not super important because we're going to be resizing this, but it will help us basically get an idea of what these letters are going to look like together. I also have it spaced out a bit. Specifically, it's spaced out 100%, just because I think it looks better. Is this typing super small? Yep. Okay. Oh, nope, there we go. Hello, lorem ipsum. Gelatin. And this is a little bit small for my taste. So I'm just gonna make this a lot bigger, because Lorge. How long will it take us to get it centered? There's probably a button for this and I just don't know it. We're just gonna call this close enough. Anyways, now that we are here, we are going to do this magical thing. I'm gonna delete the other layers for just tidiness sake. And we are gonna set this to a smart object, which you do by clicking the little button, the little layer. We're gonna click it, go all the way up to convert to smart object. That's gonna do a magical thing. And now we can use effects and work non-destructively. So we're gonna go to Bevel and Emboss after clicking this little FX at the bottom. Bevel and Emboss. Emboss. We're gonna say emboss just for simplicity. Anyways, we're gonna start off with the inner style. There's outer bevel, inner bevel, emboss, pillow emboss, and stroke emboss. We're gonna select inner bevel. Technique: chisel hard, chisel soft, smooth. We're selecting smooth, and it is going to be at the depth of 126%. Keep in mind all of the little numbers on here are not going to be the end all be all. Some of these vary depending on your machine, so your end result might not look exactly like my end result. Very, very fun. Next up, we are going to select the direction that it's in. And this, we got two options. We got down and we got up. We're gonna select up. Size, again, might vary depending on your machine that you're using, or so I am told. The sizing, 57, that's what I'm using. And for soften, you want it all the way up at 16 pixels. Now for shading. So shading, the angle is going to be at -20 degrees. We're going to ignore global light, so it'll probably be selected like this. Just deselect that. The altitude right here should be at 30 degrees. And now we're moving on to gloss contour. The gloss contour, if you click the little arrow, will come up with all of these different presets. The one that we are selecting currently is cone inverted. It's right there. It'll pop up here. And you are all set. Next is the highlight mode. The highlight mode and the shadow mode are gonna give it a stronger effect. Like, I guess a more 3D effect is what you would call that. Anyways, the highlight mode is going to be set to linear light. Mine is currently at the color FDBEBE. It's this nice little rosy pink. After that, we're gonna set this to 50%. 100% is too strong. We want a little for the effect. 50% is right in the sweet spot. Next, shadow mode is going to be set to color burn, which is in this long list right under multiply. Color burn, the color that I'm using is 582828. Again, at 50%. And now we're moving on to contour. We get another little element here, this contour box. So for this one, we are going to be using this magical thing called rolling slope descending to give it this funky little texture. And we are going to be setting this contour at 40%. So it's nice and shiny. Still no anti-aliasing. And we're going to skip past texture and stroke and get to inner shadow. Inner shadow just adds a bit more depth to it. So the structure, we're gonna get into all these little things. Multiply, it'll darken and saturate the color that you're using, so be kind of careful. But the color that I'm using is already a little dark. It is 780C0C. And we're turning that down to 30%. Because again, well, it's just the sweet spot. It doesn't make as much of a difference. But it's where I prefer it to be. The angle, 90%. Again, ignoring global light. Your distance is going to be how far off this inner shadow is. We want this to be at a nice non-committal 3 where it's slightly moved but not too much that you would notice. Choke, we're gonna ignore, keep it at 0. Sizing, we're gonna put it at 7. This just goes, how big are we gonna make this? Could be 250, but no, 7 is all we need. It's like when you sprinkle like a little bit of pepper in a dish. That's what that is. Next up, contour. We are going to select for this one a preset called half round. It is right here between Gaussian and ring, half round. Still no noise, no anti-aliasing. Going to inner glow now. And the blend mode is going to be on soft light. The opacity is going to be at 28%, noise 0%. And instead of using this gradient, we're going to be using this block. So select this on the left. I am using a even lighter pink, which is FFE6E6. Hit OK there. And next we get to move on to some more elements. So we could use softer or precise. For this particular one, we are using precise. And make sure your source is the edge. Center doesn't give as much of a kick, so edge it is. Choke, don't need to choke. I don't know. Sizing, 152. 152 pixels is all you need. Or you could use more. I'm not your teacher, I'm not your boss, you do you. Quality, we are going to keep it at a linear contour. Anti-aliasing, and we're gonna put that at 50%. Oh, I did not mean to do that. 50%, yay! Skipping over satin and color overlay, we are moving on to gradient overlay. The gradient is going to be set to multiply, and the opacity is going to be at 100%. So what we're going to want to do now is click this box right here, the box of color. It's the gradient. This is how we make the gradient into whatever we want. So we're gonna select this little box right here. It'll pull up a thing with location and color. We're gonna go to color, and mine is set to BC, BC, BC. It's just BC 3 times. It's pretty simple. Keep that all the way on the left. And this one is going to be set as a pure white, all the way up in the top corner. It's F 6 times, so F, 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 F. That's probably enough. I don't know. And we're going to keep it at this end, and it should be doing this nice soft gradient. So we are going to move on to the style. We have radial, angle, reflected, diamond, or linear. We're going to keep it linear. The angle, 90 degrees. I keep wanting to say percent, it's degrees. It's 90 degrees. The scale is going to be at 100%, so it's not overly like, here's a gradient, or it's not underwhelming. It's just a nice, simple 100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's going to be kept on perceptual mode instead of linear or classic. We're going to skip over pattern overlay to outer glow. This outer glow is set to multiply. The opacity is set to 29%. And we still don't need any noise. We're trying to keep this very smooth. Go back over to your good old block. Pick a nice saturated color. I'm using a saturated red, specifically F11616. And we are going to move on to the technique. Precise or softer, select softer. Spread, 24%. Because any more, you get that. And that's not what we want. So 24 is all we need. Size is 18 pixels. Again, so we don't get this. Because, I don't know, it just seems a little excessive. So 18. Contour, it's going to remain linear. So that's a fun little thing. You don't have to do that. Range, 75%. Moving right on to the last of this particular layer's style, which is the drop shadow. You're going to be on blend mode multiply. This specific color I am using is D01717 at 39% opacity. For the angle, it's going to continue to be 90 degrees. We're ignoring the global light. Distance, 75 pixels. Spread, 0 pixels. Size, 30 pixels. The contour is going to be linear, anti-aliased, no noise. And this layer has a little thing that says layer knocks out drop shadow. And we're going to give that a little select. And hit OK. Now that we have all of our effects here for this layer, we're going to shrink it so that way we don't have to look at all of them at once. And we're going to make a copy. Then turn this copy down to 0 fill. The effects will still be here, and we're going to take this and make it into a smart object. I should have probably filled it beforehand. So we are going to take this and convert it to a smart object. And now we're going to take fill, get it all the way down to 0. And with this, we are going to go to filter. And we get all of these fun little filters we can use. But we're going to the filter gallery, which will bring up a pop-up. And we're going to use plastic wrap. Gives this nice like ripply effect. And the highlight strength is going to be 12. The detail, 15, which is all the way. smoothness at 14. So it's not like perfectly smooth. It's just slightly off. And hit OK. And this smart filter, we're gonna take it over to this, go to blur, Gaussian blur, and we're gonna blur that 12.5 pixels just to break up the perfect smoothness. And now we are going to turn the bottom layer, the original thing that we were working on, turn it down to about 76, maybe a little more, like, let's call it 88% opacity. And this is the effect. This is the gelatin effect in all of its little gelatinous glory. Now we're gonna add a little background, just a quick little one for funsies. We're gonna take this, get a nice random red, just for the sake of clarity. It's E03E3E. And we're just gonna plop that in there. You know what? We're going darker and brighter. So I lied. This is D01C1C. Now we're gonna go back over to the bucket tool and we're gonna select it. And then we're gonna change it to a gradient tool. And at the top we have all these different options for what we want it to be. Choose the second one, which is a radial gradient. I just call it a circle gradient because it's easier. Set it to white. And we're gonna take this, put in a little point in the middle, and drag it out, and kaboom. You know, let's go harder. Boom. And now we have the gelatin text effect with a little cute background. How fun is that? Anyways, I hope this tutorial was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye.